And continuing on with Volume 4 of the Buddha series by Tezuka Osamu. Now, this is a little bit confusing here. Volume 4 is Part 3 continued. I don't understand that. And it looks like flipping through the rest of these volumes that the numbering of the parts does not entirely match the number of the volumes. I don't know what that means. Um, I mean, like this was originally. I don't know. I think the Japanese volumes have different numberings than the English volumes. Um, but I don't know if that's where that comes from. That they also have different chapters. I think. Yeah, one of the things I've complained in some of my past reviews of the previous volumes that I'm finding this story a little bit hard to get into because it's a little bit episodic and seems to be repetitive. I think, though, I am adjusting my expectations to the material. I guess I think the way you approach this is you just try and remember that this was originally serialized in comic book magazines in Japan, like a lot of Tezuka Osamu's stuff. Um, Now the length of these chapters is quite different. For example, chapter 10 is chapter 11 is much longer than chapter 10, for example. But I think in these Japanese comic book magazines, they have some allowances for different lengths of stuff. I don't know. So we've got here chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I guess those chapter numbers are from part 3. So let's see. I still have volume 3 over here. I haven't returned it to the library, so let me just double check that. Yeah, so part 3 starting with chapter 1 here and then continuing over here. And each story has its own arc. Yeah, a few interesting things happen here. Buddha, when we start off, is still in the forest of monks undergoing ordeals, where it is thought that enlightenment comes from bringing suffering to the body. Now, this is where one of the criticisms I mentioned earlier about this series being repetitive comes in, because it was established in the previous volume that Buddha has rejected this philosophy, but he seems to have gone back and is going to relearn the lesson of why suffering by ordeals doesn't actually help the body. And we also get the ending of Asaji's story arc. So Asaji, who is, according to Wikipedia, not part of the original myth, just one of the inventions from this story, who takes the three-eyed child, which is one of Tezuka Osamu's stock characters. It was preordained in Volume 3 that he was going to be torn apart by wild beasts. So he talks in somewhat broken language. My daddy hunter, my daddy killed lots and lots of beasts. So now opposite happened. Animals going to tear me to bits and eat me when full moon. And this is something that was brought up in Volume 3 when the gods told him it was a karmic law. Now, that strikes me as a little bit harsh, but I'm going back to what I learned about Buddhism in high school, which may or may not be true. Let me know if this is correct or not. What I learned was that karma was not something that the gods decided. So there was like no god who decided this. Karma was just kind of like a law of the universe. So it's unfortunate, according to this worldview, but it's not like some sort of vengeance that is divinely ordained. It's just like how the universe works. Still strikes me as strange that he gets torn apart for what his father does. But his story arc is that he goes out to meet his fate stoically, and gets consequently torn apart by wild beasts. So eventually, Siddhartha leaves the trials, the forests. The final straw is that the monks are having some sort of argument with each other, which results in them fighting. So this is what makes him decide finally. Yeah. So were they training then for this power struggle? Yeah, he gets, sorry, let me back up. He gets called a dropout, a traitor, a dropout, lily liver, and he said, call me what you like. Were they training then for this power struggle? Like, what was the point of all this training for enlightenment if they just end up in this silly squabble? I don't know. It strikes me as a bit of a cop-out that he's got... I would have liked to see maybe... And there are hints of this, but I would have liked to see a philosophical reason why he rejected the idea of enlightenment through ordeals. Instead, the narrative here just gives him such an easy out, where it's seen that the monks do not actually hold to their beliefs. Kind of like a straw man type thing, it seems to me, although, again, I don't really know anything about Buddhist philosophy. Yeah, there's twinklings of Buddhist philosophy here, like the idea that all life is part of this universe, and then at the end there's part of the end I quite liked, although I still haven't fully processed it. But see, it's the idea that all humans are suffering. And then he says, if this is another character that speaks in broken language, but he says, if everyone's unfortunate, then why are people in the world? And Buddha says, like trees, grass, hills, and streams, humans exist as part of nature. There is some purpose for which we live, tied to all that is. And he compares it to the river. He says, it has no desire to stop flowing, nor does it try to alter its course. It is perfectly natural. What's more, it's vast, it's beautiful, it's appreciated, and it gives. So like the river, you are huge, but you also be great like it if you live rightly. So this, I don't know. I guess my interpretation of this is the idea that we're all suffering, but we're all part of something much greater, and we have a role to try and give as much as we can to the universe or to society. I'm not sure how that works. So this is where Buddha reaches enlightenment. Congratulations, Siddhartha. You have achieved enlightenment. And then says, from now on, your name shall be Buddha. Let others call you this. So he's been given the name Buddha. Now, again, this is where we get back to this comic story being incredibly repetitive, because at the end of Volume 3, the punchline for Volume 3 was I think I've just come up with a great name for you. Buddha. And that's how Volume 3 ends. And so at the end of Volume 4, when he's, again, the punchline is he's being given the name Buddha, I was thinking, We've already been through this. Now, there is a little bit of a interesting narrative drama. He's sitting at the tree. He's going to, on his way to achieve enlightenment. And then he gets a message that his country has been conquered and that his family is in trouble. This is his central dilemma. He wants to run home and help his family, or at least comfort them, or at least see them. But he knows his duty is to stay by the tree. He says, "What am I to do?" And then we cut to the action. And that question of what are we to do, I guess it's answered in that. Well, no, sorry, I'm mistaken. We do cut back to it later. So it says, "I can't come. If I do, I lose." But then I think, yeah, that's the last we see of it. And then him just sitting by the tree at the end, I guess that's where we get the resolution. He decided to stay strong. So the story here is that this is something set up in earlier books. The Prince Vurdhaka, his father was given. His father, who was King Prasanajit, was given a wife by the people who are Buddha's country. I forget their names. Shakya was the name of the tribe. And they told him that she was a noble person, but in fact she was a slave. And so when the son goes to study at the school, he's made fun of because everybody knows he's the son of a slave. And so this makes him angry, which in turn prompts the invasion and conquest of Buddha's country. So I'm reading this, I'm thinking, as I quite often do while I'm reading the series, oh wow, I never knew the Buddha story was so dramatic. Right at the moment he was going to achieve enlightenment, his country gets conquered, and it's all about this vendetta by this kid who was brought up, this prince whose mother turned out to be a slave. But, as so often happens with this series, you go to Wikipedia and you find out that it's not exactly what really happened. My only source on this, my only recourse is to go to Wikipedia, because that's, what else am I going to do? But Wikipedia is very difficult to parse from this, and I since Wikipedia is always evolving, I hope maybe some of these entries get a little bit more clear to read in the future. But you click on some of these names, and these are historical figures. This guy isn't a historical figure. But the entry for him is written in a way that's very much insider baseball, if you get that metaphor. It's very difficult for somebody who's completely new to any of this to make a little bit of sense about all the names and sources and stuff that's getting referenced. But as best I can figure out, it wasn't his mother, it was his grandmother. So his mother was from a noble family, but she was part of her mother was a slave, but she was considered nobility of Shaka, and he did apparently get bullied when he went to school in Shaka and was very bitter about that. And I think Buddha's home country was conquered somewhere around the time of his life, or shortly after his death maybe, but it was not while he was just about to achieve enlightenment. This whole thing about his parents being thrown in jail, I don't think that actually happened. I don't think any of this happened during Buddha's lifetime. It sounds like stuff that may have happened after his lifetime. Though according to Wikipedia, this character, the prince, is not favorably regarded in Buddhist literature. Wikipedia says possibly some of his evil deeds have been exaggerated by Buddhism, so it's a little bit hard to tell what actually happened. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me that this is not all pure myth as well. That that I always kind of assumed Buddha was largely a mythological figure. Like maybe it was based on a real person long ago, but all these people are apparently historical people who were, I don't know. So yeah, continuing on through the series. I'm going to return parts 3 and 4 to the library, I think, tomorrow. And then still have, volumes 3 and 4. Volumes 3 and 4 apparently making up part 3. And then I'm going to continue on to volume 5 next. Volume 5, of course, being part 4. So volume 5, 6, 7, and 8 next.